Okay, let's get started here today again. I'm Victor Mosley coming to you from my website, landcalls.com. This will be my podcast number 14, and it will be coming through the Mental Health Equal Health digital periodical on my website. Now, let's do the reading more because it has been suggested to me that I should get into more of a storyline, a telling a story mode, and I like that. So I'm going to be doing more reading, and then of course I will do more thought process in it within the reading. Mental health, equal health. This will be issue 19. What's that sound? Of course, Out and Back Black Podcast 14. Now, first things first is we must wrestle this false superiority of knowing what is mental health away from the general conversation about it. 5 years of mental and behavioral health care experience has allowed me to uncover many expert opinions about it, and all such opinions deriving from seemingly enlightened patients. Granted, some self care explanations were on track, but being close to the answers cannot be the standard. Therefore, the philosophical nature of mass expertise is counterproductive and harmful to society's understanding about mental health in general. What then can psychological professionals do to dampen such a kaleidoscope of untrained sufferers diagnosing complicated mental disorders? My suggestion would be to produce a weekly periodical, a digital application on a smartphone with current events in the field, produced along with a bevy of relatable leaders in the field, cast on a short 30-minute weekly video. These non-stoic professionals will raise mental health care to the same respectable level as physical health care. Many changes have led mental health to being reconsidered as a crucial opposite to the same coin of physical health care. More promotion is required if mental health is to achieve the position of equality it deserves for the benefit of humanity. Issue 19, What's That Sound? Out in Black, issue 14. Now, how's that song go? You better stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Before I start this podcast of mental health and equal health, which is Out in Black episode 14, I wish to again confirm my firm belief in the spiritual nature of growth. The spiritual can determine the right time for our mortal success if we choose to believe the one is supreme above the other. I wanted success so bad in my younger years, I just knew if I achieved it in my elder years, I wouldn't get to enjoy it. Isn't that funny? Funny in a way that my reasoning was so inept, so cunningly stupid and crass, that I now look back on my youth trembling in gratitude to God that He waited to give me this enormous gift of writing and storytelling. Like a spiritual king slipped my success in the stack of laborious burdens that I had to accomplish before I pulled off the final task above it that held my success underneath it. I liken it to the North Carolina Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court making quick judgments before they understood the implication and far-reaching spillage of their authority. The North Carolina Supreme Court almost neutering themselves when the North Carolina State Legislature asked them to render judicial review unlawful. Of course, the United States Supreme Court actually took the door off the hinges to the room of restraint when they told Donald J. Trump he was a god. Now, mind you, Donald J. Trump had that door ground into sawdust and put on the back of a truck with no walls and took it out to high wind country. Yeah, who knows where all the specks of sawdust are now. See, that's what happens when you don't judge properly what is before you, or you judge before the time is right. Now, I already told you where I got that snippet of scripture from, but for the sake of expediency, I will give it to you again. It is 1 Corinthians 4:5. Again, these things would be funny if they weren't so asinine. You think you're so smart that people don't have an agenda when they come before a court of law. Oh, they wouldn't try to get me to fuck myself, would they? Oh, no. That is something they never would try. Sarcastically. Yeah, say that last part with a look on your face that held the true disdain for these conservatives behind your eyes. And these so-called conservatives standing before these Supreme Court wise conservatives, asking them for something these justices believe at face value. But the true motive is devious, and it is hidden beneath in the stack of papers they just handed them. Incredible, isn't it? These Supreme Court justices, no matter at what level they sit in our governmental systems, haven't the slightest tinge of that vaunted wisdom they so flaunt. Oh, the phrase, "you got played, homie," doesn't come close to the impact their decisions and near decisions they wanted to render. One last thing before I close. That Bill Maher meeting with President Trump, he's so described as the man he thought he knew. Check out St. Mark 6:3. If Bill Maher is judging Donald J. Trump from the pomp, prestige, and trappings of a temporary political office he doesn't own, then you can say Mr. Mayor's judgment is as flawed and wholly lacking as those clowns that attempted to judge the Son of God. That's why Jesus admonishes us to always gravitate toward those that are without. The poor, the widow, the stranger, the traveler beaten and robbed. So we don't admire all the wealth and circumstance that we become trapped by our minds believing the king enjoys watching us be a glutton at his table, when in actuality he wants to slice our throat. Proverbs 23:2. Bill Maher wasn't wrong in his assessment of Donald J. Trump charming him. That is a common response when you are so rudimentary, lacking of wisdom. It is a cause for people to shake their heads at the stupidity coming out of your mouth. Bill Maher can never unsay what he said. Now, it is time again for some black folk sense, some black folk wisdom. The rich man, looking at you eating his fine food and drinking his fine wine and beverages, is growing more and more fierce rage inside him. When you look at the king's face, though, The idiots that think it is charming are often the ones that lead innocents into the slaughterhouse off that look. Then later they claim they never knew he despised the poor and disabled. I didn't see the crazy man I always seen sitting atop the throne. Ugh, how could I be wrong? I talk to a camera every day. It informs my view of people of all kinds. That is why the legacy media of ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all print glowing stories of how Donald J. Trump is the best thing since cheese spread was invented. Hey children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. That is the sound of intelligence being dumbed down as these legacy media companies always wanted it to be. None of them can walk back or correct the record on page oblivion that they are to blame for justice being denied for decades in America. I don't think you will ever see, or have you ever seen, a lynching on the face of their newspapers or magazines, not on the front page, nor will it be a lead bulletin on their news shows ever. Don't tell me now you don't like or agree with Donald J. Trump. All of you have been promoting these demonic people in America as long as you stole this country from the Native Americans. Tell me I'm wrong. I have revised my statement that all white people are the last to see injustice and evil in America. Still, though, when the white supremacists and those that weaponize their white privilege rear their ugly heads, I don't see the heads of all these white people who claim they are against it rise up as quickly to oppose them. Get quicker on the draw, and I'll temper my disappointment in the block of white people that claim to practice human decency and the order that God actually wants us to live by. Yeah, when human beings are being led to the death chamber, it's kind of too late then. Like you see people putting on buses, trying to take them to a gulag. You know, you better be quicker, because next time you're not going to be able to stop the buses or the airplanes or have them turn around. That's what I'm talking about. All the evil that we see in this world that has been delivered and perpetrated upon innocent people, that's how it happens. And see, just like I'm gonna show you these papers here before we close out here. There's an episode. Just like it's a stack of papers. You see these stack of papers? You know, you hand them to somebody, but they don't know there's the evil paper mixed in between them. So you get all these folks that believe they are so wise that they know what somebody will and won't do with some power you give them. That is just as naive as it ever comes. And they supposed to be so wise and so grown and so learned, and all these credentials they hold, all these years of judging, all these years of rendering decisions, and all they want to be praised for. But they're the ones that are destroying the fabric of America. You put them in, they're like North Carolina Supreme Court about to write themselves out of existence. How can you let somebody tell you that judicial review is evil, is wrong, and you about to do it? That's the incredible part. It is about to do it. Thank you for your attention, and I'm out of time, but join me again for my next episode of Out in Black. This is Out in Black 14.